My name is Sarah Renfro, and I serve as introduced earlier, as Assistant Vice President of Client Relations with Pension Fund of the Christian Church. I oversee not only Upper Midwest, but also Mid-America, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, did I say Mid-America? Kansas City, Kansas, Nebraska, and Kentucky. And a couple places in Atlanta and Alabama. So I'm based out of Indianapolis. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. So that's my story. I served churches for 13 years before joining Pension Fund 6 years ago yesterday. So I am, yay, I know, it's very exciting.
So you graduated from LTS?
I did graduate from LTS. So I am so glad to be with you today, and we are going to discuss some things, finances today, some finances looking towards the future, and how to help your churches. Can I get a show? Are most y'all pastors? Church leader? Great. I'm just so you're maybe our lone church leader. I'm so glad you're here. I'm not going to pick on you. I won't pick on you, but you may learn some things and then can share with others.
She's a bit of a ringer. She's a pastor's partner.
Oh.
But I'm the youth director, so.
Oh, so well, you're a church, yes, church employee. Wonderful. We're glad you're here. We're glad Jamie's here, hanging out in the.
Yeah, this is the lone, really non-attached.
That's right. That's right. All right. So let us get started. I want to be conscious of time. We don't have to answer this out loud if you don't want to. But what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of money?
Don't have it.
The psalm that says, "Help me because I am poor and needy."
Do what?
The psalm that says, "Help me because I am poor and needy."
We hear that a lot. I hear that a lot from church pastors, and we're going to talk about some ways that we can address that. Which, when I say that, I mean financial stress. Anyone stressed because they don't have enough money or feel like they don't have enough money? Yes, yes. So of course, pastors are not immune. More than half are concerned about the future of their family's financial security. Believe they do not receive a livable wage, and closer to 60% report being unable to pay their bills.
I will say this much, I'm thankful that Biden forgave my son's defaulted student loan, which helped us.
That is good. That is good. Which does help. Whatever can help a pastor and pastor's family is great. And we also need the church to kind of come around to that too, don't we? You may be aware that there's a retirement crisis in America. Half of Americans say that they don't have enough saved in order to continue to live their current standard of living in retirement. And experts will say closer to 80% of what you earn currently is needed in retirement in order to maintain your current lifestyle. 80%. Now, we hope. So in order to maintain your current lifestyle, your current standard of living in retirement, so you're no longer earning a paycheck, you need to earn about 80% of what you're earning today. And that has a lot of assumptions built into it. Things that you've paid off, if you have young children, maybe they are grown and flown, you're not paying for college, perhaps you still are. There are a lot of assumptions built into that, right? And so the question is retirement even possible? Retirement stopping to work, stopping going to work daily may be a choice. We hope that it is a choice. At around any time between 65 and 70, that you get to choose when you stop working full time and earning a paycheck. And there are some times you don't even think about retirement. It's not even an option. You will you want to work until the day you die. Great. And sometimes there are circumstances that happen where you cannot work anymore. That could be family circumstances, physical circumstances. There are a lot of other, so that you will need to stop working. And we hope that there is something there for you when that time comes. So that's where pension fund comes in. Who here is familiar enough with pension fund? Okay, great. We've got some people that are not familiar. And we're going to learn, hopefully, a little bit more about what pension fund is and does. So, as I mentioned, the plenary session, we've been around since 1895. We started taking care of a minister's family after his death, and took care of Rhoda Jane Castle Chase, who was his nearly blind widow who had become blind from serving in the Civil War, and their 4 children. And a parishioner at a church took up an offering to purchase a home for the family. And she took that money with the caveat that upon her death, after the sale of her home, a portion would go back into a fund to take care of ministers and their families in death and disability. That became the Board of Ministerial Relief and Assistance, which has evolved over the last 129 years to become Pension Fund of the Christian Church as we know it today. So yes, we started before there were 3 streams of the Stone Campbell Restoration Movement. We started before Social Security, and we paid out our first pension in 1929. And if you are familiar with history, 1929 was the Great Depression. But we paid our first pension then. And in our history, no pension has ever been missed or reduced, period. We are one of the best performing pensions in the nation, full stop. With pension fund, you don't have to choose your investments. So we've got experts on our staff. We've got a chief investment officer and an analyst on staff, and we work with managers who are experts in their fields throughout the country who manage our funds on your behalf and my behalf. I became a member in 2006. And like I said, we've been doing it a long time, and strong, smart, secure is the way we go. So we steward over $3.5 billion in assets. We have closer to 15,000 members, and we give over $1.5 million in ministerial relief and assistance gifts. And those are totally separate from our retirement accounts. Those are based solely on donations. So we've got a lot of really good givers, those who believe in serving others, those who have served and continue to do so even in retirement, or just love pastors, love church employees, what Pension Fund does, and want to make sure that all are taken care of. As I mentioned, strong, smart, secure is our vision. We started for the support of ministry, and we continue to live that out daily with integrity, security, and compassion. Any questions about our history or how we got started, or what we do now, before we dive into the next little bit about compensation? Okay. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask at any time. So those who are pastors in the room and or partnered with pastors in the room, Know that ministers do not work 9 to 5.
Now you tell me.
We work those hours too.
Good clarification. You work 9 to 5 and 5 to 9, right? You're on the clock 24/7. I am also married to a minister, so I know from my own personal experience and what I'm living today. So when it comes to packages and compensation, every church, we're good disciples, every church does it just a little bit differently, right? So sometimes you're given a base salary, sometimes you're given a lump sum, and they say, here, go do. Something to consider is the cost of living where you are serving. So when it comes to benefits for ministers, we need to think of retirement contributions, so like to the pension plan and or to the 403B, which I'll go over. Healthcare, because a pension fund is really wanting to take care of ministers, not just financially, but physically and mentally as well, because we know that you can't serve if you are physically unable. And as we also know, stress, which can come from financial stress and just the stress of pastoring in general, is really hard on mental and physical well-being. You need to consider, the church needs to consider vacation, sickness, and parental leave. As I mentioned earlier, if your church does not have a parental leave policy in place, we can pension fund will work with the church to establish a parental leave policy and also offer a grant to the church to help cover some of the time that when you're off taking care of your children. Continuing education. It's good to keep learning as you're pastoring. And sabbaticals. Has anyone here had a sabbatical?
Never.
Not yet.
Next year.
Start all over again.
The first seven every 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm working. I will just say our search teams, we've got about above a 90% of them putting sabbaticals. Since I became regional ministers, I work with search teams. We're getting 90% of them
Bless you.
to put that in there. We're trying, but then they got to live into it. Yeah, but.
Like how many years is the average, Josh?
I keep telling them that I use Lily's numbers, which is 5 years, 3 months after 5 years, and try to explain. Now, I can't promise every congregation is putting that number of sabbatical in, but that's what I tell them is and then I try to explain why, and
Exactly.
point to, and I also point out that there's better statistics on clergy impact than congregational impact because it's been more studied. My hunch is that in 10 years, we're going to have some positive congregational impact numbers too. That'll help some congregations get over that hump. But yeah.
I will say, just based on this, and this is my own personal experience, I served a church at a state capital, and they didn't have a parental leave policy in place when I got pregnant, and what they wanted was to follow the law. Right, state government rule. And that wasn't fair. We did get to a compromise. It was not as generous as what pension funds can work with today. This was not in place 13 years ago when I had my daughter.
Sarah, I have a quick question. Is there any conversation about family leave at any point, taking care of ill parents, or, I know that's a conversation working in the hospital. I know there's, some things that are explored there, but it still seems like it's a opportunity.
That is an opportunity, and unless Josh, you'd have something on the top of your mind that would cover that besides emergency aid or.
I don't have anything from pension
Yes.
fund. I will say, as I work with congregations, particularly in search, I talk in terms of family leave.
Yeah.
And I start with parental leave because that tends to be a quicker way to get into the subject. And I don't mind sharing with you what you'd hear if you were on a search team. I'm a male minister, and I come in advocating on behalf of particularly young women who are single and hope to partner and have children. I don't want them to have to come in and advocate for their own parental leave. I want to do that on their behalf and on behalf of the whole church. But by the way, that's not the only type of leave that we need to consider, because we have people that they may get sick, or they're going to have family. Their spouse gets sick, or they've got a parent that gets sick, and most of us move to serve in ministry. They may need to go for a period of time and use the church. And then I usually say this, I believe it 85% of the time, but I always say it. I know you want to be generous, and you're going to be generous with your pastor. And if that situation comes up, you're going to find a way to do it. But it's better when they don't know you and you're trying to call them to kind of put some of that on paper and have that conversation ahead of time, anticipate it on their behalf. And then when the circumstances, the specific details come out, you adapt your policy to meet those needs. Now, but that's a one-by-one congregation to congregation conversation I'm having as regional minister. I don't know, but I don't have any good resources to point to other than some federal documents.
Exactly, and so thank you for bringing that up. I will certainly take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, how does the healthcare stipend, how does that work? Because I know the disciples don't have a health insurance.
Right. And what I'm sharing with you is very general and some, a sample, an example of what we hope. Healthcare itself is just it's a broken system, right?
Do most congregations just give the called minister a set amount of money to buy their own plan?
That would be this
Okay.
in this situation, yes.
They buy it through the pension fund?
No. These are we offer retirement and we offer some help with some parental leave, but this is just guides to help you as a pastor navigate your own benefit or your own benefits package, and then to help the church as well take care of their pastor.
Or have a spouse who has better insurance than anything you can get out of that.
And when you're a clergy couple,
I gotta find that spouse when I get.
There you go.
It's all fun.
Well, I'm in a UCC system now, but.
Yeah.
that'll always be different.
Yeah, true.
not to my knowledge.
Disciples tried.
Oh, I was, I was part of that too. But
It
It's-
quickly became broken,
mm,
quickly.
mm.
We're talking about a matter of 5 years.
And I don't know the history of that from pension funds perspective at all. I was not on staff then and didn't know anything about that. So I can put you in touch with somebody who does. But I'm not going to get in trouble saying anything I ought not. So let's go to a sample. This again, sample compensation that we would. It's on our website. So if you're ever working with a church and say like, my package is what this, that, and the other. This is a really good, maybe a way that we can work with some numbers. So again, a minister's compensation is salary, housing, and any Social Security offset. Social Security offset is because ministers are both employees of a church and self-employed for self-employment tax purposes, for Medicare, that sort of thing. So we have to pay 15.3% in self-employment tax, and this is the Social Security offset. So some churches opt to give 7.65 as part of the compensation package. This is a sample, a guide. I know that not every church can or does this, or even is aware that we have to pay self-employment because you're a church employee. Oh, but you're also self-employed. If you've ever filed taxes, you may know they're a tad bit complicated. So this is just looking at salary and housing, and Social Security offset, that would be considered your salary, cash compensation. The hope would be that benefits would be on top of that, right? So retirement, for pension plan purposes, it is 14% of salary, housing, and any Social Security offset. The hope is the church would give you some funds, either provide health insurance for you or provide a stipend for you and save for sabbatical. And we get to total numbers. Now, I speak with pastors all the time who say, okay, I'm starting a new call, and the church says that they have so much money. It's a package deal. And pastors are supposed to divide it any which way. Not all of us took budgeting and finance in seminary or undergrad, for that matter. So we can do some backward math. We can provide this as a sample. We can run some numbers, knowing that pension plan is important, and that 14% of cash compensation should be in there somewhere.
And the housing is tax-free. Right?
Exactly.
Well, income tax free.
Yeah.
Right, so you will pay your self-employment, your quarterly taxes on the, yes.
That's why they say when you're on your housing, make it the bulk and try to make your salary less. That's what we've done.
Sure, you just have to be able to justify it, right? So, and we've got sample housing allowance, or we've got a list of housing allowance items that are eligible for which you can claim housing allowance on our website as well. So that does lower your federal taxable income, yes.
Just remember, you have to designate your housing allowance annually.
You do, and it has to be in writing.
So it needs to be in the minutes basically before the calendar year, the fiscal year starts is when it needs, every year.
That's a great call out. I know, I just completed
Ministry
mine.
got audited and that had not happened, so I had,
Right,
it was drilled into my brain.
yes,
Before
absolutely.
when I was starting out.
Any questions about compensation or benefits?
And if memory serves, that there's a housing allowance action item that you can use word for word, just punch in your numbers in the treasurer's handbook.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
fairly confident that there's a thing that meets with IRS, kind of covers all the IRS bases.
And that's happening concurrently, that session is.
That session's, yeah, I don't know if Tim's covering that, but if you want to get through that dusty old online book now, it's got some helpful things in it.
It's got a lot of helpful things in it, the treasurer's handbook, and it needs to be updated.
That too.
But I think that I just was speaking with Melissa, and that may be on a to-do list. So we'll hope for that. Yes.
I warned you about this. Where is there information available about people who may be paying into pension fund or receiving retirement from the pension fund that did things that weren't professional? They were not in ministry, but they were. So I spent 15 years in an NBA home.
Right.
So that's how I got there.
Mm-hmm.
But where do you find that? I don't know where to find it. This says very little about it. You haven't said much about it, so I'm giving you a chance now to speak.
Thank you. I'm going to get to the member portal where you are able to see your account and run calculations there. So you would be able to see the.
No, okay. I don't have a problem with that, but where is the? Maybe we should just have a talk
Okay.
when we're done,
Okay.
because I don't want to take up their time as well as yours. So
Okay.
Okay, that
No,
would
no,
be better.
Absolutely. And like I said before, I am available. I am your direct contact. I may not know all the answers, clearly, but I can work with my colleagues at Pension Fund to find out a lot of answers and put you directly in touch with whomever, because Chief Investment Officer is David Stone, lovely, been there for over 30 years, and so he will gladly speak to you about investments and where dollars are going, and Todd, Reverend Dr. Todd A. Adams, our president and CEO, will be glad to speak with you as well. And you'll have my direct email and phone number. So the benefits that would run through your church are the two employer-sponsored products that we offer, the pension plan and the tax-deferred retirement account 403b/Roth 403b, TDRA for short. I'm going to go through both of those in depth. In order for your church to offer one of these accounts or both is to sign a participation agreement. So we have a participation agreement with every single church and organization with which we work. This details who on staff is eligible for what benefits, at what percentage or dollar amount. So this would be my job to work with your church contact, treasurer, board chair, personnel, whomever would be your person that would sign this. And sometimes it has to run through a board meeting, or at least a finance committee or something like that. And I'm glad to join virtually, or speak with anyone about this process. It actually isn't too painful. It's a few pages that I collect bullet points, name of the church, EIN, information, who's going to sign it, and again, who's eligible for what benefits at what percentage. And I say who's eligible because it's not only pastors, right? It could be all employees, all church employees. It does not matter if you're clergy or lay, if you're full-time or part-time, if you're a preschool, if you have a preschool, if you have preschool teachers, all of the benefits that Pension Fund offers are available to all employees. From, like I said.
Stonecrest Retirement Home used to be owned by the MBA. And before the hit the fan with MBA, they backed out and got involved with the Christian Church Homes of Iowa and created that. But everybody who works at Stonecrest now gets the pension plan. And I can honestly say I'm benefiting from it because my wife got hired as the accountant/office manager at Stonecrest. So she's going to be she's not a minister, she's an accountant.
Right.
And so they kept the pension fund as their pension.
Yes.
So we will both be on the pension plan. Of course, I've been on it since 1985. And so, yeah, it does work.
It does. So, we are offered to our benevolent care, and as long as there's a historical affiliation to Disciples of Christ, Independent Christian Church, or Churches of Christ, the organization is eligible to offer Pension Fund. We just have to have a participation agreement on file with them to offer the employer-sponsored accounts. I realize I'm going to have to speed up, y'all. Peter Dunn is your Moneyline guy, and we love your Moneyline. That's the free financial resource. I'll have a slide on that. But he basically says, if you have an opportunity to have a pension, get a pension. Enroll in a pension today, because the pension is like no other, and it used to be the gold standard. And now so few organizations, institutions, and states, I'm sure you've heard about pensions in the news, and they're not great. Ours, strong, smart, secure, really solid. And so if you know folks that don't have a pension yet, get them to talk to me. Yes?
Can you have more than one pension?
At Pension Fund, you can only have there's one pension plan. But if you have a pension if you are multi-vocational, bivocational, absolutely. We work with folks who have pensions in multiple places.
So if you had a pension from Illinois and now a pension from Iowa, you could have more than one?
Yes, and we also see rollovers from those like who retired from teaching, for instance, roll over their teacher's retirement to pension fund. Not into the pension plan, but to our TDRA. So we do accept rollovers from other retirement plans.
So could you draw from both pensions at
Sure.
the same time?
Sure. And we have no bearing on Social Security, or I should say Social Security has no bearing on pension plan. So when you start drawing your Social Security, no matter the amount or when, you can take your pension and we'll get to the age of that. So the pension plan, brief primer. So pension plan is a defined benefit, meaning it's the 14% of your compensation is paid in as dues. Those dues are converted into credits, which accrue over the life of your career. At retirement, you are guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. That's the defined benefit part of it. It comes with built-in death and disability benefits, housing allowance. You can claim not only while you're an active clergy person, but we designate 100% of your pension payments as housing allowance. So you can claim housing even in retirement as a clergy person. Death benefits. We're going to go over those real quickly for active, inactive, and retired ministers. If you are actively contributing to the pension plan, your spouse or qualified domestic partner is eligible for a spousal pension. So a percentage of what you would receive in retirement if your spouse or QDP outlives you. If you, so yes, that is that. The salary continuation is if you're still working, not yet retired, below age 60, then you would receive a salary continuation, or your spouse or estate would, up to $30,000 in a lump sum payment, as well as the spousal pension. And each child, if something were to happen to you and you have children younger than 21, each child would receive $500 per month until they reach 21, and up to $5,000 for 4 years for post-high school education. So if you have one child or you've got 10 children, each one of them would receive those funds until they reach 21. If you are inactive, meaning you had paid into the pension for a little bit and then you have no longer paid into the pension, you don't lose those credits. And if something were, when you die, your spouse would receive 50% of those, what you have already accrued in pension credits. And if you're retired, you get to choose, or when you retire, when you are completing your retirement application, you can choose to receive your full pension and your spouse were to receive half of that if your spouse outlives you. Or you can reduce your pension a little bit, your spouse receives 75% of that. You can reduce yours a little bit further, and then it doesn't change. It's 100% across the board. And then there's the death benefit, which would be up to $10,000 to help cover funeral expenses and that sort of thing. All right, I mentioned the student gift membership. I didn't mention it exactly, but that's how I started in 2006. I started serving a church as a student youth minister. This quote is me, that is not my face, but it's my quote. That I was going through old files and found like a welcome to the pension, being a pension fund member as a student. And it was so exciting because that got me started in my 20s when I had no idea what I was doing with my life except for, being called into ministry. And I hadn't thought about retirement at all. And this gave me a 3.5-year head start, as that's how long I was in seminary, and then continued on in full-time ministry right after that. Just so much peace of mind. And as I mentioned, I have a 13-year-old, so if something were to happen to either one of us, she'd be taken care of. If you want to talk about eligibility, students, seminary students, ministerial students, talk to me. Actually, probably talk to D Long, but I'll get to that. But I can direct you there. All right, I talked about how our performance, the pension fund, has been strong. We have been well over 100%. As you see, over these are the last 10 years, we ended 2023 at 118% funded. And then that leads, based on our funding levels at the end of the year, we are able to award, the board is able to award special apportionment credits. So this is when we've reached a certain threshold. Because we are a ministry and nonprofit, we give any extra back to the members. In 21 and 22, our members, your credits were increased by 10.5% one year and 10% the next. If you were already retired, you received a 10% raise year over year. This year, we were able to award 1.5% increase. Not often do people in retirement receive raises, especially to that. Yes.
Sorry, do these increases, are they adjusted for inflation or not?
It's not of inflation, it's based on our funding levels, so that just increases the amount of credits that you are accruing currently while you're in active ministry. And then if you're retired, it's not a one-time lump sum, it will continue on. I know I'm not answering your question. It's not exactly a COLA increase.
Sure. Okay.
It's based on funding level.
Got it.
All right, as you can see here, this is how we've done it the last few years. Now, if you're wondering, I have no idea how many credits I have. What will I earn when I retire? You can go to the member portal. And if you haven't accessed your member portal in a long time, reach out to me and I can give you access. Unless it's been a really long time, then I'll have you call our member relations team. But this will give you access. You can log on. You can enroll in other accounts, see if account values, and we'll share these slides. I think we can share these slides so you don't have to take all the notes if you're doing that. But this is the pension calculator. So you can toggle your current, when you want to retire, your some date in the future. Full retirement age is age 65, so that's when you receive your full benefits. And
No, I can tell you this, I was told 67.
Nope,
That's
65.
Social Security.
65, 57 is Social Security.
That's right.
Thank you.
So 65 is pension plan full retirement age. You can access pension as early as age 60. There is a penalty for every month prior to 65. And then if you were actively contributing 65 to 70, there's a late retirement bonus, if you will, an increase of credits for every month you work past 65 up to age 70. Now, if you continue to work past 70, yay! You just won't get that increase in credits, that 0.5% per month.
You don't get the increase in credits?
You will continue to accrue, you just won't get that extra bump.
Oh.
And so run this calculator, and again, it is an estimate. It's a tool. It is an estimate, but it can be helpful when you're determining when you will retire. All right. The other employer-sponsored account is the TDRA. So this is if you're trying to maximize your retirement savings, this is more like, who's familiar with a 403B or a 401k? Okay, great. So this is dollar in plus interest, dollar out. You can contribute on a pre-tax, so lower your taxable income today. And if you're a minister and you take installment payments in retirement, you can claim housing on those installment payments for this as well. If you take lump sums here and there, you're going to pay taxes if you did pre-tax contributions. But we also offer the Roth or after tax. So pay taxes now, the earnings grow tax-free, the contributions grow tax-free, and then that's your money when you, yes.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I have heard that for Roth IRA contributions, if you make under a certain bracket, you don't pay tax going in either. Is that still a thing, or not so much?
Well, this isn't an IRA. This is a TD. This is a 403B, which is separate from an IRA, and
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that terminology for an IRA either. But people at your Moneyline would be able to walk you through that. So this can be, as long as it's on the participation agreement, the employer could make contributions for you, or I know that some pastors choose, if there is such thing as a love offering, a Christmas bonus, something like that perhaps. Instead of taking it as taxable income, you can have it put directly into the 403B, and then it'll earn interest. The base interest rate right now, and we do allow rollovers, like from other retirement accounts, 403Bs, 401Ks, if you have that from somewhere else. So yes, pre-tax, great, lower taxable income today, after tax, Roth, then earnings grow tax-free. These are also eligible for good experience credits. So we offer base interest rates for all of our interest-bearing accounts. The base interest rate for our TDRA right now is 4%. And it is eligible for extra. Again, it's similar to the special apportionment credits, but it's based on our investment levels, our investment pools. Each one of our accounts has its own investment pool, and our board of directors looks at this each year. And in 2021, the base interest rate was at 3.75. It earned an additional 16.5%. So this account earned over 20% in 21. If you were following the news in the last couple of years, many folks lost 20% in retirement accounts. Just tragic, right? Ours grew by 4. Again, in our history, no account has ever decreased. We do not charge fees to account balances. You will never see your account decrease on that. So the floor to ceiling, it'll never earn less than 3% as a base interest rate. The base interest rate will never be more than 6%. But again, good experience credits can increase that by quite a lot, which is significant when you're saving for retirement. And you can access TDRA funds as early as age 59 and a half without penalty, whereas the pension, again, is 65. I've gotten so like, no, I'm over half, but yay. So we're not going to get to all of this, but I'll send it out to you. Rollovers, I'll walk you through them. There's some forms. We need a statement if you're interested in rolling over any retirement account that you may have. So those are the employer sponsored. We do offer individual accounts. Again, all employees are eligible. There is, you don't need a participation agreement for it, and it's available to your spouses as well. We've got the traditional IRA, Roth IRA, and the benefit accumulation account. IRAs, traditional. The contributions may be tax deductible. Roth, again, after tax, talk to your Moneyline, but after tax and then the earnings grow tax-free. It's a great way to save for estate planning. There's also with the Roth IRA, there is first-time home buying, educational expenses for dependents. So it's a good tool to have as saving. The minimum is $100. The base interest rate right now is 3.5%, but it's also eligible. Both our IRAs are eligible for good experience credits. We take rollovers from other traditional and Roth IRAs. Okay, yeah, we want to help you more than just save for retirement, and that means including saving for today. So, emergency fund, short-term savings. Long-term savings and investments. So that's your long-term. We're looking more at the TDRA 403B. We need to help set up an emergency fund and get you some savings that you can access when you need it. All right. Great way to do that is get in the habit. Just start saving, have something pulled from your bank account, your checking account each month, so you don't even see it. On payday, have it directly deposited. Emergencies fund, have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in an emergency fund. But start somewhere. And compound interest. So what we can help you do is with the BAA. Benefit accumulation account, high yield after-tax savings account, minimum's $25. There is no contribution limit. I didn't mention the limits on the 403B or the IRAs. For the 403B, it's $23,500 for those that are under 50 this year. Goes up to $30,000 for those over 50. IRA limit is $7,500 for those under 50 and $8,500 for those over. BA, there's no limit. It's not a retirement account. It's a liquid savings account that you can access at any time. This is a great way to hide money from yourself. So if you set up on, again, like on payday to just have money directly deposited into your BAA, then you don't see it, but it's there when you need it for emergencies or expected expenses, when you're saving something like a vacation or a big purchase. My husband and I, we save for quarterly taxes, so it can earn a good interest rate before we pay the government. And it earns a base interest rate right now of 4%. This is an after-tax high-yield savings account that earns 4%. Again, you can, in the member portal, you can make online transactions, deposit and withdraw at any time, twice a month without me. But really, this is not a checking account. This is not tied to a debit card. This is a savings account meant for those emergencies. And good experience credits, oh no. 2021, again, great year. It earned an additional 10.6%. Savings account that earned over 13%. Y'all, come on. And yes, I don't know, I see advertisements for high yield savings accounts all the time on my feeds, or billboards or whatever. Look at the fine print. Look at the minimum. Look at the maximum. Look at any fees, because we don't charge fees, and again, the minimum is $25. I'm not, it's not too good to be true. It's just, if you have a retirement account with us, you can open one and, or as many as you would like. I know that we have one for any money that our daughter gets for birthday or Christmas. We have one to save for a big vacation one day, and then again, quarterly taxes. So you can diversify your savings that way as well. Spouse eligible to the open BAA IRA. Oh, I think I'm gonna get through. Okay, your money line. I am not a financial planner or advisor, but we work with a third party, Your Money Line. That's who we partnered with and have for several years now. It is a free financial wellness resource for you and your spouse. You can call them, you can email them, you can ask one-off questions, you can set up accountability kind of conversations. They have an online dashboard. You can run retirement scenarios. I've contacted them about student loans. I've contacted them about paying off a car, about helping how do I talk to my parents about estate planning. I've done all of that, and they are so kind. They are so helpful. They literally are trained in empathy, and if they don't have an answer for you, they'll email you with resources as soon as they can. So this is available to pension fund members for free. They won't try to sell you anything, I promise. And for your mental health, Learn to Live is available to you and your families ages 13 and older. Again, you can call, chat, online dashboard type of thing to set up counseling, again, one time or recurring meetings as well. Not everybody has access to a mental health professional, and so a pension fund has partnered with Learn to Live for this purpose. We started with ministerial relief and assistance. We've talked about some of the programs, student gift, We've got, in the new church, if you know of a new church in formation, or have started a church, or UMW has designated you as a new church start, then we will help the church over a 5-year period get to pay their pension for their pastor. Because we know when you're just starting out, there's may not be the funds there, but it's a graduated 5-year program for new churches. If you're looking to add a vocation besides pastoring, we will help with vocational counseling to see what best is suited for you and your gifts and your wishes. Emergency aid to help cover medical expenses, unexpected expenses. We also work with folks who have lost their homes, or pastors who have lost their homes and natural disasters as well.
Including in this region this year.
And then if there are pastors who were not able to participate in the pension during their career, or their pension is below a certain threshold, then we have a supplemental gift pension, a relief pension, and then that 13th check where you may see we take up an offering at each General Assembly, that goes to give an extra check to those receiving these supplemental and relief pensions in December. It really is a lifesaver. And that's what this is talking about. And I'm not in charge of all those. Dee is. Dee Long, Director of Ministerial Relief and Assistance. She's just the best. And so this information is available to you on our website and hopefully in our overview. And I can also get this to you and direct you. All right. I know that I went very quickly at the very end, so I'm so sorry. This is me saying thank you. And what questions do you have?